Hello there, today I'm going to talk through my sketchbook for the project in which I'm going to be talking about promoting my work online and mark making. Okay, so here's the title page that I created for this project. I tried to give an overview of the keywords I was going to use, so I'll talk about social media, websites and documentation, because the idea behind this piece was not only to create an actual piece itself, but to promote it as well online. And I'm going to add some links later on to my tutors so that they can see my work and they can also see my idea development as well, but this time on an online platform to be able to promote myself. Here is the overall theme for this project, which is mark making. I've been looking at abstract artists such as Anthony Tapias, and I found them really inspirational. And it's also worth noting that I really enjoyed experimenting last project with mark making, and I found it really interesting to learn about. And I thought that I achieved a lot, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to experimenting with further. Here's the first artist, Kazu Shiraga, who using his entire body. He created a lot of different marks, mostly using red, which is actually a colour I really like to use because it's a nice, bright, colourful contrast compared with the normal sort of subdued colours that I like to use. Here's my second artist, Frank Auerbach. He was also massively influential on my work. The reason being for that is because I like to create marks and I want to learn how to create marks and create an overall image using those marks. And as you can see, he does a lot of work with faces, and he also does a lot of heavily textured work as well, which is something that I would like to experiment with. Here's the next artist, Sabiru Marapi. He's an incredibly influential artist as well. He's someone who I've looked at in quite a lot of detail. I've used a lot of his kind of techniques in the past, but this time I'm going to look at exploring it in further detail. As you can see, he also uses red as well, similar to Shiraga, but he also creates marks, a bit like Auerbach, and he's almost like a fusion of the two. So here are my experimentations for this project. This is a very productive experimentation session. It's something that I really enjoyed doing. I worked on various different surfaces, mainly card, as I wanted to work on something bigger and a bit more sturdier than paper. And also a drawing board as well, which was really nice because it had a great patina to it, and it was really effective in sort of showing a lot of different movement and scale as well, as I want to work on a bigger scale from now on, as I feel it will just make my work have a bigger impact. As you can see, I've also worked with stencils as well. They've been really effective, and I feel that symbolism is a really important part of my work, as symbolism has a lot of power to it. As you can see here with the Red Cross as well, which is something that Anthony Tapias has used in his past. Here's my continuation of mark making. As you can see, I'm doing the similar type of thing. I'm still mixing in mark making and paint mixtures and texture, but I'm also trying to use stencils as well. Here is where I created a piece, but first of all I actually put a wax covering over it, and I thought this was really useful because it gave a sort of texture to the piece. So when I painted over it, it gave a real kind of nice patina to it. Here are the palettes I used. I thought it would be a good idea to actually keep the palettes because they themselves are almost like art forms. They work really well and they were very interesting to use. And it's also good to sort of see the kind of mixtures and then being created. And it's almost like a step-through-step guide of how I mix my paint. As you can see, I'm working with different colours here, mixing grey. And also I'm using black as well, trying to use watery paint. Here I'm trying to use thicker paint mixtures, and I'm trying to sort of do mark making as well. It's also worth noting that I use watery paint to do splatters, as it's really useful. This is a technique that was used by artists such as Jackson Pollock, who've also been very influential in my work. Here again you can see thick textured paint, similar to the style of Shiraga and also Sabiru Maraki as well. Here are the sketches for my final piece. I've tried to do some nice basic quick sketches so that there's a nice overview of to what I want to do. I'm also trying to incorporate lots of different texture, stencil and symbols within my work. I'm trying to do a combination of everything I've learnt. So obviously, as you can see, as I talked about previously as well, I'm incorporating all these different elements into my work. And I really feel that I'm beginning to find my own style. And that's something that I find really useful as I can take this forward into my future work. Here is another piece that I've drawn, and I'm trying to show a sort of more of a weather-like scene. As is the same with this one, I'm trying to do something similar to Abak, in which he paints these kind of portraits of different landscapes and faces, and I'm trying to do my own interpretation of that. But I'm going to use my own style and obviously my own finish to it as well. So I'm trying to show texture. I'm also trying to do lots of different lines within the paint in order to get them into a sort of weathery look, i.e. like hail or rain or snow dropping down. I'm also sort of doing stormy weather as well, so I'm sort of creating little swirls and little patterns for that also. Okay, so that's the sketchbook work for this project. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that answers any of your questions.